And hooray, picked up the wood for the tabletop this morning. Ponderosa pine with some nice color in it. So now, after it sits in the shop for a couple days, it's already dry, but I still like to let it acclimate for about 2 days. Then we can start cutting this up and getting it put together for the top. And this was all about 14 to 16 foot pieces. These are all between 11 and 12 foot long here, and what I need is 10 foot for the tabletop. And these are what got cut off the ends. This will give you a good sample of some of the color that's in that stuff. It's going to look pretty good when it's sanded and varnish on it. And then most of these pieces here for another project that I'll probably film. So anyway, onward with the table. And there's the table base, got it flipped back over. It's been out here getting rained on every day, but it's got its 4 coats of marine varnish on it. Flipped it back over with Ron 2 because we're probably going to need that as a work service for cutting some of these boards and getting them put together. So it'll be nice to move ahead on this thing finally. Of course, with those big boards, a small shop, and raining almost every day like what's coming in here again now, I go a little slow. Anyway, got the wood. Okay, this top wood's been sitting in the shop for a couple days, so I'm going to start it in small shop blues here. So I got my Craig jig out, circular saw to whack this end off, puts it at about 11 feet. Remember, I got to finish it about 10 because this is a badly warped end here. So whack that off. Got the planer set up here. I should have enough room back here to feed it in to the planer. Got a little support here, so by the time the end gets to there, it can come around the other side. I'll be opening that door there. Putting this stand in here and another stand farther down for it to run out the planer. So hopefully that all works out. And this board is right at about its max, just a hair under the width of the planer. So, all right, there's that bad end cut off. Warped down quite a bit. That there. So now to get it off of there, get ready to go through the planer. Well, I've got room to get it started in there. Plenty of room here to get it going and work. Like I say, once it gets through up to here, which I have that support under there, then I can move around to this end and help it feed out and get this door open and these rollers set up here. Well, that first pass, wood's looking good. It didn't clean it up. This pretty much here, most on down, needs at least one more pass, maybe 2. I still got enough material, so I think I'll be all right. Good. Smells really good. Oh man, that's got great color. Oh, open. Yes, yes, yes. Up to the one. Look at that. All right, here's board 2. Got to run one more plane on this top side here. Again, the color is awesome. This is probably the only one that has knots in it. This is probably going to be my center board down the table, but one more pass on this side, then I'll flip it and run it on the other side, which is going to be the bottom until I get to my thickness. Okay, 2 boards down, all plain. Of course, got to straighten up the edges before I glue them, obviously. Look at that color. Hope it's coming out in this bright sun. I have 5 boards to make up this 45-inch width table. Now that's all the planing for right now, because these 3 I've got to go ahead and cut lengthwise first. Get my glue edges cut because they're a little too wide for the planer, so I'm going to cut them at the planer's max and then run those through the planer. Okay, I've got this Craig AccuCut that I just got. Using that to cut these long boards down so I can get them in the planer. I already cut the other 2 that I needed needed to be cut. This is the last one, so we'll go ahead and film this. I've only got a 4-foot track, so I've got to move it twice. But it's been working pretty good so far. Well, let's get you set up and make a cut. All right, I put a chalk line on there just to give me a guide. Okay, I got all the edges trimmed. I've got 2 to plane yet. I've got the second one and the 4th one there. And then I have another whole 10-inch piece because I need about 5 inches more on this for proper width. I just thought I'd give a little preview of what it's going to look like. Alright, this is the last board to get planed. 5 boards from the top. Well, I got anxious and forgot to turn the camera on, but there's the first 2 pieces glued up. I'll definitely remember to turn on for the next piece. I'm kind of doing this a seam at a time. There's 7 number 20 biscuits in there. It actually went better than I expected for 11-foot long boards. 5 clamps seem to do it. Can't see any gaps, seems like it stayed flat. Got a little extra weight in the middle there. So, get that set up. And the sun's going to be on this area soon, so I'll probably wait maybe till this evening and get the next board in there and film that. So, just want to make sure that's good and dry before I start moving it around. This thing is, and so we have about 6 inches that are going to end up getting trimmed off at each end. So, there's the first glue up. And here's the rest of the pieces. This one's going to be next. It's about a 9-inch wide one. That's going to end up being down the middle of the table. The one that had the only knots in it will be down the center of the table. And I'll epoxy this one up. I lost the knot out of there, so I'm just going to fill that with some tinted epoxy. So, moving along finally. And I decided I am going to put matte Epiphanes on the top. Matt Cremoni used it on his outdoor table. He recommended it, so I'm going to do that. Except I think I'm going to try to spray it. But we'll worry about that when we get there. Got a lot to go, even if I get all these glued up. Some planing and cutting the ends off, probably putting an edge on it. And I'm also going to double up the thickness all around the outside edge of the table. About a 2-inch piece up underneath all the way around to give it a little thicker look from the side. So, that's that. Well, I did it again. Thought it looked like it was going to rain, so I rushed to do this and forgot to turn the camera on again. So there's the third piece glued up. 2 more to go. I guarantee I'll get one glue up. I'll film before I get it all together. So, like I said, there's the 3 pieces. 2 more to go to make the 45-inch wide table. Well, there it is. Last piece glued. It was the worst of them all. Obviously, didn't film it again. Didn't miss much. Just a little bit of cussing, running around, clamping, weighting down. Probably my worst scene. Alright, after the glue up, Ron 2 helped me to get it up on top of the legs here. And my first step is going to be use the Kreg AccuCut guide here to cut it to length. Already marked, it's to its 10-foot length. And I've got this tarp here, roll out, keep it covered at night, since the rest of the work on this thing is all going to be done on top of the legs here. So after I cut that to length, I'll be epoxying a few things that need epoxying on the top. Then we'll flip it and check the bottom for any epoxy needs. I'll tell you about something else I'm going to do to the bottom. Okay, first end is cut with the AccuCut guide, circular saw. Now we'll go down here and film cutting this end. Alright, I've been epoxying some of the knots and some cracks that have been developing. Got about 2/3 of it done. Got the middle section yet. I'll probably top off this one here. That was a knot that I lost and had the hole clear through. There's a crack that developed after it was glued up in those knots. So it's going to end up needing probably 3 butterflies in there and a couple down there. It's probably going to end up with 6 or 8 butterflies when it's done. So, well, I'm going to need probably 6 or 8 bow ties in the top tabletop for the outdoor table. So I'm going to use some 1/4-inch red oak. So I've got all the bow ties cut up here. Got a couple in the vise here. Give them a little filing. So that's what I'm going to use in the areas where there's some cracks that I epoxied all of them, but still I want to do this for a little extra strength. So, okay, this morning I'm going to put a couple biscuits in the top here. This crack. One there and one right there. Alright, one down. Let's go for the second one. I'm going to go around the inside of the pencil line with the chisel before I route it. That's what I did on this one here. Well, I didn't film the rest of the putting the biscuits in or bow ties in, but I got 8 in the other side. This is flipped over now. This is the bottom. Scraping some glue off, and just add some extra little strength on some of the cracks, potential cracks. I'm putting some biscuits in here across any potential. Underneath every one of these 2x4s is a biscuit in there. Again, this is the bottom side. So, scraped all the excess glue off. Then I'll start on getting this flat and putting the extra piece, about a 2-inch piece, all the way around to give this thing a double thickness look from the side. Okay, I started putting the edge all the way around the bottom here, so when it's on the table legs, it will give the appearance of a thicker top, strictly for aesthetics. Really not offering any strength, but so I'm going with a strip like that all the way around. Grain is matching. In fact, this was cut off from this end, so it's the exact same piece. So it should be able to expand with the tabletop, should have no issues there, and the side pieces are long grain, so everything pretty matches the grain. Here's how those biscuits look when I put them in across something I want to shore up a little bit with the foamy glue that expands and will fill in any cracks. One there, and there's one there. And I'll come back with this Japanese saw, cut them off. I can do this one-handed here. Just like that. Alright, I got the second end piece glued on with the doubling up strip to make it look thicker. And here's that flush trim bit. I got a nice white side double ball bearing spiral 1/2 inch shank bit, so I can run off of the top board and trim that little piece I added all the way around flush. The spiral bit, that should knock it down like a piece of cake. Okay, I got the one of the long side strips all glued up on the bottom to give it that double thickness look when it's flipped over. Now I'm working on this side, which is going to be 2 pieces. Alright, I've got both sides, the double edge glued on now. I ended up having just enough clamps. So the next step here will be to run around the whole edge with the spiral flush cut bit. Okay, flush trim those 2 sides. Third side here. Watch out, chickens. Okay, as you can see, I got everything I think I need to start pegging all around this border, pegging that double thickness edge I have around there. So here I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 marked out. Every corner, it's going to be 2 inches out from the corner each way. And we're going to go all the way down the side, but I'm going to start on this end. Do this one here in the middle first. Give it a go using oak dowels. I used oak bow tie, so try this first one out and see how it goes. Yeah, from what I can figure, that's all it was. The tolerance was too tight, and with the glue, by the time it got close all the way, it was just too tight. So I cut the little piece that fell short and drove it up in from the bottom, so it's got peg all the way through. Lots of glue in there. So next hole, I'm going to just try to ream with that drill a little more, make sure the hole's good and cleaned out. Well, I think I figured out the problem. I ran into this once before with some bigger dowels where I glued the hole, and the moisture from the glue swelled up the hole and couldn't get the dowel in. So I think that's what's going on here. Okay, let's cut the rest of these oak dowels. I need 18 more. Looks like I can make about 21 with what dowel I have left. Then I put just a little bit of a bevel on the edge. Okay, this half pretty much planed and scraped, ready for sanding, but I think I'm going to peel back this end and plane and scrape that end, so then the whole thing's planed and scraped, and I come back with a little, I don't know, maybe some minor belt sanding, RO sanding, probably a little more scraping here and there. Then here pretty soon I've got to put this edge all the way around here, like a 60-degree bevel roughly with the router, something like that. Well, there's the whole thing now, sanded up through 120. Later on today, if it's not raining, I'm going to get the edge a little better. Then I'll be ready to flip over. I've got to cut those dowels all around the edge off on the bottom, and not any more sanding on the bottom though. And oh, that's right, I've got to bevel the edge on the top here. That's probably next. Maybe sand this edge better, then put that bevel on there. Then flip it over, cut the nubs, get ready to start finishing. Figuring out if I'm going to spray it or what. Okay, I re-sanded the edge all the way around, and then I just hit it with the router, a 45-degree bit in there and bearing, and just broke that edge all the way around a bit. Just a little bit of a break, so I don't have that sharp edge or an edge that's going to break off. I don't know how well you can see that, but... Well, I sprayed a coat of Rust-Oleum spar varnish on the bottom, and then we flipped it over. It dried pretty fast spraying, and I sprayed a coat of Epiphanes High Gloss on this top here. Okay, I just got this. This is called a Critter sprayer. Put a filter and water trap on it. But Critter sprayer off of Amazon, it's like 42 bucks, and it takes mason jars. So I've got all my different, this is Epiphanes, Rust-Oleum, you just set up, Exterior 450, set everything up in its own mason jar. Then to clean it, like I have on there now, I've got the mineral spirits on there now, and just flush it through, and it cleans it. So, seemed to work pretty good. Just one coat on there so far, it's really bringing out that color in that Ponderosa Pine. Okay, as usual, forgot to record, but there's number 2 Rust-Oleum Marine Spar Varnish on the bottom of the tape. Everybody's got to be inspecting my work all the time. Well, how is it? Is it good? The path? Huh? Okay? Okay, keep looking. Sure you'll find something. Oh, I see. Coat 2 on the top. Okay, I just sprayed coat 7 of the Epiphanes High Gloss. Now when this dries, I'm going to flip it, give the third coat on the bottom of Rust-Oleum Marine Varnish. Alright, here is the top. Finishing's all done. Actually ended up at 10 sprayed coats of Epiphanes, the last 3 being matte finish. The rest of them were high gloss. So there it is. I finished that up yesterday. It's already had time to set and cure, so I don't have to keep it covered anymore. I don't know how well you can see the legs here in this bright sun, but what I did was I had to take one leg off, and I slid on this center brace that we decided to go ahead and do. As you can see there, it's made out of that same pipe. It's right to the center of that framework, so just in case that top decides it wants to sag on all those 2x6 and 2x4s, that will prevent it. That pipe is really stout. So I've got it all bolted back together already. So our next step will be move the top over here on some moving blankets, top down, and lift that leg frame on it and start marking and drilling and putting threaded inserts in to hold that top down. Okay, I just carried that top all by myself, believe it or not, 45 inches by 10 foot down here, laid it on some moving blankets, and it's on its top, so the bottom is up, and now I gotta scooching this frame over on top so I can start marking my holes to put my inserts in to mount this top to the frame work. Alright, there it is. I got it in position. I marked it in the 4 corners in case I bump it. Now the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go into the center, one on each side of that, and mark that and drill those inserts in first, so then I can move it back on, bolt that down, make sure that's the right position, and then mark all the others. Okay, been drilling and putting inserts in. Here's this insert maker I made, or insert installer, to help get it in straight. Insert on there. There's a hole. Nice. and well, there is the table all done. Top's fastened down. So that's going to conclude part 2. Part 1 was the leg build. Part 2, the tabletop and framework and mounting. Part 3 will be benches. 2 6-footers and 2 4-footers for this 10-foot by 45-inch table. That center support in there looks pretty good. Pretty solid too. Heavier than a son of a gun. Alright, so we'll catch you on part 3. Thanks, y'all.